Are men nothing but slaves to women? Subter, I'm Phoenix and I read self-improvement books so that you don't have to. Or at least so that you know which ones are worth reading. Of course, you are more than welcome to just learn from my videos directly. I will be frank, my videos so far aren't getting many views, especially if I neglect to include a provocative title. After considering the issue, I decided to stop my plans temporarily and for now just make a whole series of reviews focused on one work only, with the videos being much shorter. This book is The Manipulated Man by Esther Villar, an extremely controversial work hated by women for how much it reveals about their true nature. Or does it? I will discuss what the author talks about in her book while sharing my opinion. Before we start, a brief word about the author and her work. Born in 1935 in Argentina to German immigrants, she studied medicine in Buenos Aires and then went to West Germany in 1960 to study psychology and sociology. It was there, I suspect, that she encountered the emerging feminist movement's philosophy. Then she proceeded to write this book, The Manipulated Man, and published it in 1971. It was her counter-manifesto of sorts, arguing, to put it bluntly, that the claims made by feminists were largely bullshit, and that the truth was that men were subtly under women's control or at least exploitation, all while being happily and blissfully unaware of it. As a more experienced and aware man who has learned quite a bit about women, I am not surprised by what she wrote in her book, though a man more clueless about women definitely would be. What I am surprised by are two things: the fact that a woman wrote it, and the fact that she was so damn clear and honest. This book is truly throwing a wrench in the works of feminism, so I can't say I was surprised when the author said she met with many threats after writing it. This book is quite a ride, so I will just get into it in a moment, but first I want to make one point clear. This book is very generic in its treatment of men and women. It talks about the average man and woman. They are so generic and average that they border on stereotypes. Therefore, please don't treat what this book says as disparaging either men or women, but rather a cold, harsh truth in the eyes of a psychologist and sociologist, who also happened to be a woman, which made her even better equipped to understand the subject matter. The first thing the author does in her introduction, mind you, I read the 1998 edition, is expressing her shock with the pushback against her book. However, she understands the reason behind it as follows. Women cannot be offended by politicians, for they make up the majority of voters in the West, nor by the media, whose advertisements are aimed more at women than men, for women spend more. Men's reluctance to see the reality of their social standing also surprised her, and she chalked it up to men's unwillingness to consciously and officially accept their position being lower because their position has already become quite low with how often they have to scrape and bow before customers and superiors. Plus the fact that the job market became progressively harder due to computerization and mechanization of the society. Okay, time for my opinion. She definitely got it right about where the pushback came from. I would also add that ideology also played a big role in pushback against anything that is anti-feminist, and that there are more people to benefit from feminism than just media and vote grabbers. She's right, I suppose, about the reasons why men would refuse to see such reality and would rather cling to belief in the ideology that they are inundated with, even more so in the 21st century. But she also missed something really big. Namely, men are literally indoctrinated to think in a certain way in the modern society. In other words, this is their programming resisting. The next thing the author does in the introduction is to list the main differences between men and women. 1. Only men are conscripted. 2. Only men have to fight wars. 3. Men retire later than women, but it's women who live longer on average. 4. It's easy for a woman to have children if she wants to, but it's hard for a man to do this without a woman's approval. 5. Men support women. Women don't support men, unless temporarily. 6. Men work all their lives. Women have the option not to. 7. Despite the above, men are poorer than women on average. 8. Women get their rights to children automatically in case of separation, whereas men almost never. When the author was asked if her book was still relevant almost 30 years after writing it, she indicated these 8 issues and rightly showed that since these issues didn't change, then the book was still relevant, and that women's position in the society had only grown stronger. The only difference would be that regarding number 2, women can volunteer for military service now, and regarding number 6, many women now happily work, though with an earlier retirement age compared to men, but it would still be very unlikely for a woman to provide for the father of her children and not just her children, think stay-at-home dad, despite often having piles of money. Now, for my opinion of it all. She is generally right about all 8 points, at least as far as I am aware. The third point may currently be an exception, as there seems to be some Western countries where the retirement age doesn't differ significantly between men and women. She is also right about the details, however, there are a few points where I want to offer a few comments. Firstly, there are good reasons why some of these things are the case. For example, sending women to war is a completely misshapen idea and makes no sense if only for the sake of being impractical. For some others, there were good reasons for them in the past. For example, we can argue whether it was good or bad that only men worked in the past, but I think at least those ladies who are sick of work may not be so happy about it. Secondly, not only is she right about women and not providing for men, she's extremely right. And I want to take this opportunity to say that if you are a man and you want to be a stay-at-home dad indefinitely, then you, sir, are a retard, and your woman is going to disrespect you, hate you, cheat on you, and eventually divorce you, unless she likes having a little cuck on a leash. Being supported by a woman is only ever a good idea if it's just a short temporary solution, and it really depends on the woman in question. But some are going to get sick of it after a few weeks, while others after a year or two, and believe me, there are also those who don't even want to hear about it. Thirdly, about the sixth point, there are forces on the move that are trying hard to make life equally suck to everyone in this regard, so it's plenty likely that women will be no different soon and are already not that much different. Unless they land the position of a rich dude's lover, but this is not exactly a gender-specific quote-unquote role, given that boy toys and rich women exist. Fourthly, the author claims the eighth point is due to the fact that men work and women don't, so men supposedly won't have time to care for children. While it was true-ish in the past at least, I think that now courts just give the custody to women automatically because she's the mother, regardless of who the better parent objectively is. Fifthly, I want to say that some of these differences aren't necessarily bad. What is bad is, as the author says, the exaggeration of women's plight, as if they are losing out so much, whereas what they are effectively doing is obtaining privileges over men, or at least that's the situation we are in now, in the current era. I hope you enjoyed my review. Thank you for watching. This is just an introduction to a longer series of review of this book, where I will cover this review one chapter at a time. As such, if you are interested in hearing more, then please be a good boy or girl and like and subscribe. I also invite anyone to comment.